you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to LaFleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens, leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs!
And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Going into tonight's hockey game, the Montreal Canadiens had 13 games left in the regular season. Some called this the biggest game of the year. Marty St. Louis said, yeah, the next one in St. Louis yesterday said the next one in St. Louis is the biggest game of the year. Well, now the Montreal Canadiens are going to have to wait until Thursday night to play Philadelphia in what will be the biggest game of the year, because between now and the end of the regular season, every game is going to be the biggest game of the year. But this game was big, so big that before the hockey game, these were the percentages of the Montreal Canadiens making the playoffs with a win. So 49.3% chance of making the playoffs going into the game. With a win, 58.6% chance of making the playoffs in regulation. And with a loss in regulation, 38.4%. So the difference between winning in regulation and losing in regulation, you drop by 20% of making the playoffs. We'll take a look at the standings a little bit later on, because there are some late starts, and so of course those games aren't final yet. So we'll take a look at where the Canadiens are in the playoff picture and take a look at the other teams as well. In the meantime, what I can tell you is the Montreal Canadiens not only lost tonight in St. Louis, but they lost big. They lost by a score of 6-1. It's time for the McGuire Report.
The McGuire Report. Presented by Vago Italian.
The McGuire Report, of course, yes, brought to you by Restaurant Vago, and I was there on Saturday night. Vago combines old world Italian classics and new Italian dishes for over 23 years. Private dining rooms for any occasion, open Monday to Saturday evenings. Lunch from Tuesday to Friday, located at 1336 Green Avenue in Westmount. For reservations, the number to call is 514-846-1414. Tommaso, the man at the front. Angelo, the man in the back in the kitchen. That's your go-to place as far as Italian restaurants is concerned. Italian Vago Italien on Green Avenue, corner of the Maisonneuve. Pierre McGuire, how are you? Pierre, I don't quite hear you. Do you hear me? I think probably you're on mute. We'll have it figured out.
I hope you're there now. Yeah,
I definitely am. How are you, Pierre?
I'm excellent, Tony. How are you doing?
Little under the weather, but we'll live. So I apologize in advance if I sound a little stuffy. The Montreal Canadiens, I don't know if they were under the weather or not, Pierre, but they weren't quite ready for an opponent that was really bringing it, an opponent that has been playing really good hockey as of late. The St. Louis Blues have won 12 of their last 15 games going into tonight's game. They had won 7 games in a row on home ice, so make it 8 in a row on home ice, and now make it 13 wins in their last 16 games. They're rocking and rolling, Pierre. The Canadiens showed flashes in the second half of the game, but in the first half of the game, with the exception of the Suzuki goal, they were out of it, Pierre.
Well, physically, St. Louis dominated them. This is a game where some of the bigger boys from Montreal needed to show up. They did, but it was too late. They needed to answer the bell right away. You can see that whatever's going on with the Boston Bruins, it wasn't Jimmy Montgomery's fault. This St. Louis roster at the start of the year was nowhere near good enough to be a playoff team. It's virtually the same roster. So what's changed? They added Fowler on the back end, and basically that's about it. The rest of the team's the same. So you got to give credit where credit's due. The coaches come in and done a great job. And you know from his days in Boston, you know that Jimmy Montgomery is going to have his team rocking and rolling because he knows how to get to Montreal. And what he did was he turned them loose physically. And they dominated the game physically. They really did.
Pierre, once again, when we keep in mind that even though the Canadiens are in a playoff race, they're 3.5 years into a rebuild. There's a lot of young players who are learning. And of course, we forget that the coach also has just over 3 years of NHL head coaching experience. As you know, I was pretty vocal about some of the things that I saw in the month of October. I didn't think the Canadiens looked very organized. As a matter of fact, I thought they looked like a mess. And I thought that Marty St. Louis was a step behind on a lot of decisions in many games in the month of October. The team got better in November. They put it in fifth gear by the middle of December to the middle of January. They're absolutely fantastic. Then they hit a wall right before the Four Nations face-off. Then they came out of the Four Nations face-off playing very, very good hockey. And lately, they're starting to show signs of fatigue again. Matheson, I think, is showing some signs of fatigue. I think Samuel Montembeault is showing signs of fatigue. But Pierre, I haven't done this often lately because I think he's been coaching really well. I don't think this was a well-coached game by Marty St. Louis. Now, you very appropriately so said that the Canadiens were manhandled physically, and you were right. Holloway delivered an incredible hit on Carrier. Bolduc was going all over the place. Walker was creating havoc as well. The Canadiens had their hands full tonight. But can you begin to explain to me, Pierre, please? We know that Samuel Montembeault is their number one goaltender. We also know that his career high in games was 41. He's played 52 going into tonight's hockey game. And if they keep this up, he's going to end up playing at least 60 more between now and the end of the season. They played tonight in St. Louis. They're playing Thursday night in Philadelphia. They're playing Friday night in Carolina. They're playing Sunday afternoon in Florida. It's 4 games in 5.5 days. If logic is logic and Montembeault is his number one, which he is, you would think that Montembeault was going to play tonight, going to play Thursday in Philly, get a rest on Friday night, and play Sunday afternoon, because you're not going to play him Friday night and Sunday afternoon. You correct me if I'm wrong.
No, so you're right.
Case, and they're not in it at all. You hit 4 goals against. You don't call a timeout. You don't pull your goalie. You could have pulled your goalie at the midway point of the second period. You could have given him a rest. Instead, you kept him in for the rest of the second, halfway through the third, only for him to give up another banana in the game. And it's not all on him, by the way. Risk him getting hurt for a game that I don't get it, Pierre. Try and explain it to me, please.
I can't, but I'm going to take it one step further. And you know that I've been hugely supportive of this entire coaching staff and the rebuild. It's one game. You can't overreact, but decision-making matters at the managerial level. And I'm not talking about the manager. I'm talking about the coach. I would not have played Montembeault tonight. I would not have. And the reason why I wouldn't have played him is because I saw fatigue setting in a while ago, just like you did, like I'm sure their goalie coaches did. And even though they got bailed out on Saturday night and they found a way to get a point against Colorado, you can't tell me that was a virtuoso goaltending performance from Sam.
It was not. It was not. He was tired going into that game, Pierre. We saw it the game before that.
That's why I wouldn't have played him tonight. And the reason why you save him, I know that points are points are points, but they're in the Western Conference. They're in a different division.
No direct points tonight.
Exactly. I'm playing him against Philly. I'm playing him against Carolina. And maybe I put Dobish in against Florida because he's had success there before.
4-0 shutout on December 28th.
Yeah, or I'm going another way, but I'm not playing him tonight. And that's, if there's one little thing that I have a problem with the game tonight, is that I get the manhandling stuff, Tony. That's a hard build. I've done a lot of games in that building. It's a hard, when that team's going like they're going now, that's a hard building to play in. Really hard.
And once again, Pierre, I think it's safe to say that although it was not Montembeault's best effort, you win as a team, you lose as a team. His team was not there for most of this hockey game, right? I mean, chances are Dobish is in nets tonight. The Canadiens don't win either. We're not saying that they would have won with Dobish. We're not saying that, but Pierre's saying he doesn't understand why Montembeault started to begin with. I'm saying once you took the decision to start Montembeault, and you're down by a score of 4-1, and for whatever reason, you haven't called a timeout, and for whatever reason, you're not pulling Montembeault after the 4th goal, only to pull him basically one period later, You know what? You let the 10 minutes go in the second half of the second, plus another 10 minutes into period number 3, only for him to give up another bad goal, shake his confidence even more, get him even more tired, risk him getting hurt down the I don't understand what they did tonight. I really don't get it. I think the team was tired, and when you're tired, you make mental mistakes and you're not thinking right. And I think the coaching staff was tired too.
Well, they've been I'm sure they're working their tails off too to keep these guys alive. But here's the one thing I'd say. You saw right away, St. Louis knew what their game plan was. They were going out hitting to hurt. Not dirty, but they were going to plant the seed of doubt physically. And they did it. People can say, no, we got Anderson, we got Jack Guy, we got Dvorak, no. Struble. No, you did not. They pushed you around the rink tonight. They did. They pushed Montreal around the rink tonight.
Yeah, and Arbor Jackeye wanted to get something going because, he saw that his team was getting pushed around, so he was trying to save a little face, but he didn't have any dancing partners tonight. But once again, in a game that you lose 6-1, and now, if someone's going to say to me, well, at 4-1, they probably thought they could still come back because they came back against the Colorado Avalanche on home ice. Well, A, that doesn't happen very often, coming back 3 goals behind. B, it was on home ice. C, they were already tired. D, this was not on home ice. E, they were playing against a team that is so hot, it's unbelievable. Very difficult night at the office, Pierre, for the pairing of Matheson and Carrier. They struggled mightily.
So I love what you said at the start. Carrier got drilled right away, and it was equal opportunity the whole game. You see the hit that Zachary Bolduc put on Matheson in the third period?
I did.
Matheson was in the offensive zone. He wasn't in his own zone. And so I can tell you right now, game planning-wise, they circled number 8 in their dressing room. They say every time you get a chance to plant him, you plant him. And Bolduc has clearly responded to Jimmy Montgomery. There's no question about it. He's responded. So they had a plan. They wanted to go after those guys because they knew those 2 guys in particular, those are their shutdown guys. Those are their guys they need to shut down the opposition's best players. And they weren't able to do it tonight. Look at the night for Robert Thomas. Look at the night for Philip Broberg. Look at the night for Dylan Holloway. Look at the night for Jordan Kyrou. They were jumping through the gym. All of them were jumping through the gym.
This team tonight was without Pavel Buchnevich on their first line.
Yep.
And they were without Colton Parayko. And I'm going to say this right now, and a lot of people are going to laugh and say, come on, let's be honest here. There's upsets every year in the playoffs. I would not want to play this team if they get in.
Not right now. And, we haven't even touched on it yet.
And their coaching staff is solid.
Claude Julien is a Stanley Cup winner as a head coach. He's the assistant coach in St. Louis. Steve Otts won the Stanley Cup as an assistant coach. Jimmy Montgomery's won a national championship. Jimmy Montgomery's a heck of a coach. It wasn't his fault in Boston. You know it, and I know it wasn't his fault in Boston. So here's the one thing, though, we haven't even touched on this yet.
Tell me.
Jordan Binnington.
Yeah.
You don't think that guy's feeling good about himself right now? You don't think he's back to 2019?
Sky high. That's why I wouldn't want to play this team in the playoff. I would not want to play this team.
I'm with you. I wouldn't want to play these guys at all.
They have a lot right now. They have Robert Thomas. They have Braden Shen at the center ice position. Yep. You talked about guys that go out there and hit. They got Bolduc. They got Walker. Holloway hits like a truck. I can't.
Matthew Joseph's not a shrinking violet either.
I can't believe Edmonton losing Broberg and Holloway. This is a complete disaster. This is an utter disaster.
You know why they lost him, Tony? I will tell you exactly what I tell my good friend Jimmy Murphy all the time. They went out and got Arvidsson from LA, and they brought in Skinner from Buffalo. And the day they did it, I said it at the time, why would you do that? You're being redundant. You're going to be in trouble with RFAs. And that's what happened. And this is way before Stan Bowman got there. So people can say whatever they want. This is on Jeff Jackson. And if you go look, I defy anybody. Go Google some of the newspaper stuff in the summer. He was the next impresario. He was the king of hockey. He was this. He was that. When he made those moves, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And that's what they lost. Holloway and Broberg.
Really feels like a missed opportunity tonight for the Montreal Canadiens, Pierre, because the Buffalo Sabres did the Montreal Canadiens a favor, of course, tonight by beating the Ottawa Senators. Who would have thought that? The Rangers and the Kings, by the way, are in period number one. The game is scoreless right now. There's 6 minutes left in period number one. The Rangers are on the power play. The Avalanche lead the Detroit Red Wings going into the third period by a score of 3-1. So that result is good for Montreal. Toronto beat Philadelphia. That result is good for Montreal. Tampa Bay beat Pittsburgh. That result is good for Montreal. Buffalo beat Ottawa. That result is good for Montreal. The Predators beat Carolina. Not that Carolina is going to get a wild card spot, but you know what? If you want to look at the bright side tonight, the Capitals lost to the Jets in overtime. If you want to look at the bright side, the teams that are going to be battling for a playoff spot with the Montreal Canadiens all lost tonight. That's the bright side. So the Canadiens didn't lose ground. You know, unfortunately, they could have gained ground, but every single team is probably saying the same thing tonight, Pierre.
They are. I watched Toronto play against Philadelphia. I watched Montreal play against St. Louis. I watched parts of Ottawa and Buffalo tonight. And, every game's different. There's no question. But this better go away fast for Montreal. People watch tapes of what the other teams do to Montreal and the other teams too.
Well,
if they let people get physical with them the way they did tonight,
yeah,
they're going to have a tough time down the stretch. They got too many games. They got to dictate the terms. They can't let the other team dictate the terms to them.
Well, it could be better because I don't know if you had a chance to hear John Tortorella at the end of the game, Pierre. But I'll quote Tortorella, whose Flyers lost again.
Mm-hmm.
This falls on me. I'm not really interested in learning how to coach in this type of season where we're at right now. But I have to do a better job. So this falls on me, getting the team prepared to play the proper way until we get to the end.
Oh, yeah. Well, I watched the game. They gave up odd man rushes, breakaways. Their in-zone coverage was reprehensible. John's a really good defensive coach. They were so bad. That was probably as poor a performance I've seen from a John Tortorella coach team in a long time.
Knowing that, though, he has had a lot of success as a coach who has had a lot of veterans in the past and won a Stanley Cup, is it safe to say that probably the timing between Tortorella and the Flyers is not the best?
Well, for Montreal going in there, you mean?
No,
yeah.
What I'm saying, no, for the future of John Tortorella with Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah, I can't
just said.
Yeah, I can't speculate on that. Here's what I'll say is they've got a lot of work to do still. They put a lot into Mishkov being the superstar that was going to deliver them to the promised land. There's no kid that can do that, not with that team. Sean Couturier is getting older. He's not getting younger. They need Travis Sanheim to be Larry Robinson every night. He's not capable of doing that. Their goaltending is probably B-, Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, so they got some work to do still. They got a lot of work to do still.
Let's bring up the starting lineup for the Canadiens, or the roster for the Canadiens tonight. Suzuki with Slavkovsky and Caulfield, Newhook, Laine, and Joshua Roy. Dvorak with Gallagher and Anderson. Evans, Armia, and Heineman. On defense, Matheson, Carrier, Struble, Hudson, Jack-Eye, Savard, and in goal, Samuel Montembeault. Pierre, I don't know how many times you had a chance to watch the first goal of the hockey game, Jordan Kyrou, but it starts with the Holloway hit on Carrier, all right? And when Kyrou gets the puck, and they look like the hybrid D, they look like back in October, where everyone was like, okay, I got him, you got it, okay, we got to get him. And it wasn't fluid. It was just, there was a lot of thinking involved. But if you watch it on slow-mo, Patrick Laine looks like the most disinterested player on the ice. Like he's got no one behind the net along the boards. And then he comes out and he circles in front and he's trying to find somebody. And just in the end, he's in no man's land. He's got no one. He's not the only one on the play because they look very, very disorganized, but it was not good.
I think, again, I'm not going to bail out of this one too. I think the physicality got to them. And, Patrick in the third period got hit with a leg-on-leg check, and he stayed down on the ice for a while, and he was complaining to the official. He didn't like the non-call.
Yeah.
It was the wrong time to do that. Your teammates don't need that because in St. Louis, it's an awkward bench. The visitor's bench goes deeper into your own zone.
I hear you.
And so it's the wrong time to do that. Your teammates don't need to see that. So again, they got to respond, I think, on Thursday with more of a pugnacious attitude. You don't have to fight. You got to play rough.
The Sick Podcast brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. It's also brought to you in part by Playground. The World Series of Poker Circuit Playground is back. The World Series of Poker Circuit returns to Playground from March 24th to April 8th, and it's bigger than ever, over $3.3 million guaranteed. Your shot at the World Series of Poker Circuit Gold, $1.5 million guaranteed main event, $500,000 guaranteed Colossus with a $300 buy-in, $300,000 guaranteed mega stack high roller, 18 chances to win a WSOP C ring. Don't miss out on one of poker's biggest festivals. The action starts March 24th. Visit playground.ca for the full schedule. Let's go to the scoring if we can and bring that all up. All right, so 18:07 into period number 1, Jordan Kyrou with his 31st goal of the season, a wrister that goes off of Montembeault's glove. He gets a piece of it, but it goes in. Jordan Kyrou's got 31 goals, so that's a goal scorer shot. But
it's 3 years Tony, 3 years in a row, he's 30-plus goals.
I think Monty should have had that one, personally.
He should have 100%. Hey, he should have had that one. He should have had the Broberg goal, too.
Yeah.
That got him pulled.
1,000%. Nick Suzuki with, this was, by the way, he doesn't get an assist on the play. How does this play start? Slavkovsky strips Leddy of the puck in the offensive zone and dishes it to Caulfield, who finds Suzuki, who in close takes a shot. Binnington makes the save. The rebound comes out, goes back to Suzuki. He backhands it along the boards. Lane Hudson goes after it, gets to it first, circles, turns, spins back, goes back around to the point, takes a wrist shot, which is going towards the net, deflected by Suzuki, who got in between two St. Louis players, and he ties the game at 1. On the St. Louis Blues' second goal, if I'm not mistaken, Pierre, this here, I don't get it, Pierre. You got your fourth line on the ice. Well, Dvorak was on the ice with Evans and Armia. You can make an argument that you had your three most defensively responsible players, or three of them, on the ice in the defensive zone for a defensive zone faceoff. But anyway, they went up against St. Louis's number one line. Thomas beats Dvorak on a faceoff and later beats him to a loose puck. It goes back to the point by Broberg, whose shot is deflected by Holloway. Pierre, they say the goals that you give up in the first minute and the last minute really hurt. That one, they're hurt.
That stunned them because, they thought they had a fighting chance after Suzuki scored, and you could see they were stunned. And it didn't take long in the second period before Robert Thomas scored. And that was, I'm watching going, okay, there's going to be a problem tonight. This is going to be a problem.
The Sick Podcast brought to you in part by Bittt Tibi. They launched a new Ultra Lager, refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for the nice spring days ahead. Only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. It's ultra light and ultra refreshing. Let's go back to the scoring if we can. On to period number 2. It's 4-on-4 hockey. It goes from Faxa to Broberg to it goes from Broberg to Faxa to Robert Thomas, who enters the neutral zone and then enters the offensive zone. Pierre, 4-on-4 hockey. Talk to us about the assignments here, because Nick Suzuki backs up so much that he actually got in behind Mike Matheson, who at one point says, hold on a second, I got to go after Thomas? No, I don't know here. And then he tries to get in front of that shooting lane, but he can't. And Robert Thomas's quick wrist shot beats Samuel Montembeault high glove side. It's a good shot, for sure. It's a good shot. But talk to me about the Canadiens looked a little disorganized there in the 4-on-4, Pierre.
Usually in 4-on-4, the forwards have the defense and the defense have the forwards. So if you're Montreal, your forwards have St. Louis's defense and the Montreal defense have the St. Louis forwards.
Yeah.
So it's pretty simple, and it's usually straight man-to-man with some support. Now, I don't know exactly what their system is because they really haven't played a ton of 4-on-4 that you can say, yeah, they're clearly doing that. But that's usually what it is. Now, the one thing, and Tony, you know what I think of Robert Thomas. We've talked about him a lot on this show.
You love him.
He's a star player.
Yeah.
People don't know enough about him because they don't see St. Louis play a lot. especially people in the East. They just don't see him. This kid's a really good player.
Pierre, what would you say the differences are between him and Nick Suzuki? And I think it could make for a very interesting discussion because they both come from the same draft year.
Mm-hmm.
They both played in the OHL. Robert Thomas played for London.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Suzuki played for Guelph and Owen Sound. They both put up points at that level. They're both centermen. They both weigh about the same. Robert Thomas probably about an inch taller. Robert Thomas had a career year a year ago. He's got more than a point per game this year. Suzuki had his career year last year as well, but less points than Thomas, but on pace for more points than Thomas this year. One of the things I've noticed is that Robert Thomas is about 5% better than Nick Suzuki in the faceoff circle, and I think that's pretty big. Can you talk to me about other differences?
Yeah, and I think he's about a half a step quicker, maybe a little less than a half a step, but Robert's just a little bit quicker. So just a little bigger, a little better on faceoffs, a little bit quicker. But I mean, it's minuscule. They're both so good. But the size does matter a little bit. It does, and a little more quickness matters a little bit. And the one other thing, Suzuki's a really deft passer. I'm not saying Robert Thomas is Sidney Crosby, but Robert Thomas's ability to pass the puck in the backhand is elite. It's not a little good. It's elite.
We talk about how good a draft pick Nick Suzuki is at 13 overall. I think it's safe to say Robert Thomas at 20 overall was a steal for the St. Louis Blues.
Oh, he was a total steal. And the thing is, he learned so much in the 2019 run to the Cup. He was a student of the game. And the one thing St. Louis had then, they had Larry Robinson around their team all the time. Larry worked with all those kids, whether they were forwards or defensemen. Larry did a lot of work with them. I did every game St. Louis played, Tony, from the start of the playoffs to the end of the playoffs. Game 7 in Boston.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but as a young player in 2019, seeing as he was drafted in 2017, did the St. Louis Blues not play Robert Thomas on the wing? Because if I remember correctly, they had Ryan O'Reilly at center, they had Braden Shen at center, and their third line center was not Tyler Bozak?
It was Bozak.
Yeah. I believe they played him on the wing, right? Early on in his career.
They did.
He's a good player. Very, very good player.
Yeah. Don't forget, they had Ivan Barbashev was playing on the fourth line with Alex Steen.
Yeah.
People forget that. Barbashev plays in the first line in Vegas. Like, that team was good.
Yeah. How about that other kid that Vegas has on the wing there? He's unbelievable.
Who, the Doroforiev?
Doroforiev.
Yeah.
He's something, eh?
Yeah, he's a very talented point getter. He's very good.
Pavel Doroforiev, he's really something. All right, okay, so let's go back to the scoring. So now Robert Thomas puts the St. Louis Blues up by a score of 3-1. And this one here comes 6 minutes later, where it goes from Fowler to Joseph. And once again, at this point, Tessier scores. I'm thinking, you got to call a timeout or you got to pull Samuel Montembeault. Pierre, once again, I would imagine the coaching staff already has their plan of when the goalies are going to play on this road trip. You correct me if I'm wrong. And if Montembeault's their number one, it leads me to believe that he was playing tonight. Once they played him tonight, it leads me to believe that he's playing Thursday. And it leads me to believe that he's playing Sunday because I don't think that they're going to play Montembeault on Friday night and then Sunday at 1. And I'm coming back to that. I don't understand why he wasn't pulled. And
we agree. Again, I'll just say I didn't think he deserved to start tonight based on what I saw on Saturday. And I would have gone a different direction. But they know their team way better than I know it. They really do. They're there all the time. So I don't want to take pot shots, but I'm just telling you, somebody watching from the outside looking in, I would not have done what they did tonight with the goalie.
And as you know, Montembeault, who had got off to an amazing 6 or 7 games, Pierre, after the Four Nations face-off, has had some difficult games as of late where he's given up a couple of really, really bad goals. And, I think we've talked about it and we've brought it down to fatigue. But Montembeault gave up some bad goals versus the Ottawa Senators and gave up some bad goals versus the New York Islanders, Pierre. Mm-hmm. And there was talk in Montreal about, okay, Montembeault's tired, go to Dolbesh on Saturday night versus Colorado. But we're hearing that Marty St. Louis texted Samuel Montembeault and told him that he was going to be in there on Saturday night. And once again, he was in there on Saturday night. But on Saturday, he looked shaky again. And tonight, he looked shaky again. Look, I think Montembeault is a good goalie, but he's only as good as the team in front of him as well. And once again, going from 41 games a year ago to 53, on pace for over 60, that's a lot.
Don't forget one other thing, because you're so thorough on this stuff. While everybody else was getting a break during the Four Nation event,
he was working.
He was working. He didn't play the games, but he was working.
Yeah.
I was there for the entire event. There was a lot of pressure there.
Back to the scoring if we can. So once again, they go to period number 3, and then there's that Broberg shot, Pierre, down the left wing. Yeah. Once again, gets a piece of it, but he's got to stop that. And then Dolbesh comes in, and Bolduc on the power play in the slot. I think it's safe to say Dolbesh could not do anything on that one, Pierre. It's a bang play. It's in the slot. The Canadiens get outshot 14-5 in period number 1. Bounce back in period number 2, 13-12. They outshoot the Blues. Get outshot 11-7 in period number 3, 37-25 overall. 51.9% of the faceoffs go to St. Louis. The Blues go 1 for 3 on the power play. The Canadiens go 0 for 2, and that hurts them right there. And once again, outshot, outchanced, out special teamed, and out hit tonight. That was your night.
Yeah, it was.
Out hit. The hits are even.
Yeah.
The bigger ones went to St. Louis.
I'm just going to say I'm having a hard time with that hit stat right there, because I watched it pretty close. The big shots came from St. Louis, not from Montreal.
Yeah. Well, but then again, they don't count the big ones, right? They just count the ones that are hits.
No, but they're the ones that count.
Yeah.
They made a difference.
They are the ones that count. The Sick Podcast brought to you in part by BombolognaBoss.com. Let's bring it up if we can. Bombologna are known as puffs from heaven. Fluffy dough. It's rich filling, differentiated from any other pastry. Look at it. It's basically looks like a donut, but Italian style. So much fresher, so much better. Available for order at BombolognaBoss.com. Customers can build their box with the flavors they choose. Regular size and minis are available. We will get to your questions tonight. This is going to be probably an abbreviated version of the Sick Podcast. Why? Because I'm suffering. All right, but I'll live. All right, okay. Let's get to some of your questions. For Pierre, it's now your chance to ask Pierre, and we'll get to your phone calls as well at 1-888-585-SICK, 1-888-585-7425. Gregory says you can't blame Monty. The Blues had 10 shots and a goal before Montreal's first shot on net. Blaming Monty is lazy. Gregory, we said you win as a team and you lose as a team, and it wasn't Montembeault's best effort. We believe he's tired. We believe that he should have had at least 2 goals on this night. But Matheson and Carey were a disaster. The Canadiens paid a physical price tonight. St. Louis wanted it more. The Canadiens couldn't handle them. It's not all on Montembeault. They lost as a team, but it was not a great night for Samuel Montembeault either.
No, and the other thing, I'll repeat it again. I wouldn't have played him tonight. I would have got him ready to play against a conference opponent.
Let's go to the phone lines. We go to... Hello, who's this? Are you there?
Yep.
Who's this?
Steve.
Steve,
how are you guys doing tonight?
We're doing well. Go ahead. You're on with Pierre McGuire.
Always a pleasure to hear your takes. You can get pretty specific tonight and go through at least 3/4 of the team and pick on how lousy they played. But I'll tell you something. After 2 minutes in the game, this team had no jump. They were not involved in the game. Struble, the first time he touched the puck behind the net, he just went right by the puck. There was no one even pressing him. So I think this was a Marty St. Louis problem, whether Monty was in goal or not. You got to get a team ready. They had 2 days off, played Saturday night. It's Tuesday night. this 4-game trip is their season. If they don't pick up 4 or 5 points, they're probably not going to get in the playoffs. You can't come out in the first period and show nothing. And Pierre, the one thing about your comment on the hits, St. Louis did not come out in the first 10 minutes and run them out of the rink. Matter of fact, the Holloway hit on 45.
Carrier.
Holloway hit it came after Holloway got clocked by someone. So they were not out hitting them in the first 5-10 minutes of the game.
No, we agreed. That's not what I said. I said they dictated the terms and they targeted certain guys, and they made Carey and Matheson's life miserable. And that was the byproduct of coaches being aware of a game plan. And if you want to talk about big shots, the big shots came from St. Louis. And you ask anything, look at Nathan Walker had a career day. He was running guys all over the ice.
But Steve, you know what? Listen, I know that every Montreal Canadian fan around the world, 13 games left in their season going into tonight's game, now 12, want the Canadiens to win every single game and all that stuff. That's not reality. Here's the deal. When you say they have to have a good road trip or else they're not going to make the playoffs, I'm not going to tell you that the road trip's not important. Of course it is. But I'm going to tell you that it's all relative. Tonight, every single team that they're competing with lost. Everyone. There's one game left. The Rangers and the Kings. And you know how ready the Rangers are for their game tonight? Well, after one period, they have 2 shots. So they too came out flat. All right. We have to also keep in mind that some of these teams that are eighth, they're eighth for a reason. So yes, this road trip's very important. But if the other teams lose and the Canadiens still stay in a playoff spot, then it's okay. Then it's not going to, stop them from making the playoffs.
I'm not looking at whether they make the playoffs or not. What I'm saying is that, can you hear me?
We definitely can.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. What I'm saying is that they had the last 3 games they've fallen behind. They rally at the Islanders. They rally against Colorado. Fine. I mean, after that game, they had a chance to reset. They have Sunday and Monday off. And now they're playing in St. Louis. You cannot come out flat. It was shocking. After 5 minutes, I'm texting my friends going, it looks like they're on drugs playing the Red Army. So this isn't whether they won the game or lost the game. You got to come out and be ready to play. I mean, you guys watched the first period. Did it look like they were ready to play?
No, they did not look like they were ready to play. But
that's what I'm talking about.
What I'm talking about is, and you got to hear me out on this one, Steve, okay? For most of the season, they haven't played with a second line. Okay? We agree? For most of the season, well, let me just hear me out. I'm going to explain it to you. For most of the season, they haven't played with a second line. For most of the season, they haven't played with a backup goaltender. For most of the season, they had some pretty significant injuries. And let's say, for example, that Caden Gooley is one of them. And you start the year at center with Kirby Dach, and then he's out. And now, so everyone has to be in different chairs. So what happens? Joshua Roy comes up. Before him, Owen Beck comes up. What am I getting at? How many? Nick Suzuki, the last time I checked, and it could be a little off here right now, but the last time I checked, which was about a week ago, has the second most ice time of any forward in the National Hockey League. Mike Matheson is playing on average 25 plus minutes a game, and Samuel Montembeault was playing in game 53 when he never played more than 41. 41 was his career high a year ago, and as Pierre said, he didn't rest during the Four Nations face-off. What are we getting at? Because the team is a rebuilding team, and they've surprised everyone by being in a playoff spot with 12 games left in their season. Sometimes the lemon or the orange, no matter how you want, there's no more juice. Pierre, correct me if I'm wrong. We want them to play every game, but sometimes you squeeze the orange so much that on some nights there's no more juice. I understand the caller's point. He says they played on Saturday night. It's Tuesday night. They're tired. If the fans understood the importance of tonight's game, Pierre, the players know it too. They're tired.
Hey, Steve, just one thing to what you're talking about. Everybody got all hot and bothered because they came from behind against Colorado. They're down 4-1. Do you know how much juice that takes out of the tank to do that against an elite team like Colorado?
I agree. But by the way, Tony, I agree with all your points. You made great points. The only thing that bothers me is it's not even if they make the playoffs. It's that, and it wasn't that Montembeault was tired in the first 10 minutes. It's not that I wasn't looking for the three guys you talked about. The whole team did not come out with any juice. Now, was the whole team exhausted? That's hard to believe. Everyone's played a lot of games. And if they had come out and played with intensity and lost 6-1, it wouldn't have bothered me. But I don't buy the thing that they're that tired that they couldn't. But anyways, they've given us a lot of fun this year. I've enjoyed it all. I hope they bring up Mayu and bring up Fleury, bring up some guys, get some juice on the team. And even if they lose, who cares? They do have too many guys who are tired. I agree. Bring up some guys.
Marty St. Louis says it's not failure tonight. To me, it's fertilizer. Pierre, what do you think about the choice of words from the coach after this very crushing loss?
I don't understand what he means by the fertilizer. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, that's what the quote was, and I didn't quite understand the context either. But I think basically what he's trying to say is that it's a learning curve. It's growth.
Growth.
I guess.
Yeah.
Fertilizer, growth. I guess. I don't know.
Learn how to handle it. I guess. I don't know.
You know. All right. Okay. Back to the phone lines we go at 1-888-585. Sick. David.
Tony.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good. I got good news for you. You're on with Pierre McGuire. I'm just going to lean over for a sip of water. Go ahead. Ask your question.
It's fantastic news. I'm a big fan of the show, Tony. You're doing amazing. And Pierre, I'm a big fan of yours as well. You have amazing hockey takes. So it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, David.
So we talk a lot about energy on the show. And at the top of the show, I couldn't agree more. Pierre, you talking about Montreal being pushed around tonight. And we talked about how the team's tired and lacking energy, and we need a boost. We need some more juice on the team. Why not tweak the lines too much? But what are your thoughts on this? Taking Heineman, bringing him up from the fourth line, put him on the second line. Take out Waugh, even though this might be an unpopular opinion because Joshua Waugh has been playing well the last couple of games. I know he scored in back-to-back games leading up to this point. I get it. But having said that, it won't be the end of the world if he sits a game or two. But put Heineman, who leaves it all out on the ice. He plays with a lot of physicality. He has a lot of energy. He will be a great fit with Newhook. Imagine that speed on that line with Lonnie there as a weapon. And replace Waugh on the fourth line there. Bring in Pizzetta. I know he lost a little bit of the trust with St. Louis, but you need a spark. You need a little bit of physicality. You need some energy. Why not put Pizzetta in for a few games on the fourth line and then bring up Heineman?
Because the coach won't tell you this, but if he didn't trust Pizzetta in games that didn't mean all that much, he's not going to trust him in the most important games of the season. I'm sorry, Pierre?
I'd be surprised if Pizzetta went back in the lineup this year. Doesn't mean he wouldn't. But the other idea, though, I liked was moving Heineman up. I don't have a problem with that. And moving Joshua Roy down, I have no problem with that. But Roy's not really a checker. He's a point getter. So if you take him out, who are you going to put in? That's going to be your biggest question.
I have one problem with that. So I don't have a problem with moving Heineman because, quite frankly, I think Heineman's been stale for about 3 or 4 weeks now. That's me.
Yeah.
The problem I have is you want to swap him with Joshua Roy, who was stale for the first 3 or 4 games that he was up. And in the last 2 games going into tonight's game, which have been his best games versus the Islanders and versus Colorado, where he got on the score sheet both games, you want to move him? Why would you take a player who's having success and wanting to move him to get another guy going? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's more about getting the whole team, like the energy, like getting the guys leaving their all on the ice, right? Like I understand if it's not Pizzetta, maybe put I don't know if you think Florian Jack guy is ready to see a look, or someone else that you can call up at that point. But I know it's an unpopular opinion because Waugh had, a goal in the last 2 games. I get that. We're talking about energy. We're talking about letting a spark. So who are you going to replace in the lineup to get that momentum going, especially against Philly coming up? So yeah, it was just a thought.
Thank you so much for your phone call.
David.
All right, David. Listen, I understand the thought. I get it. We'll answer some questions, by the way. Some questions for Pierre McGuire. Adrian is on line 1. Hello, Adrian.
Tony, Pierre. Tony, I just wanted to say thank you for battling late night with this sickness. It means so much to us.
You know what?
Pierre,
it's just a cold. There's people that battle through a lot more than just a cold. I'll tell you that right now. Adrian.
Like those Habs battling tonight.
Wouldn't it be something if Adrian would say tonight on the Habs post game, the Sick podcast, there's something I want the Habs to do for me tonight? What's that? Win.
Yeah, I mean I want the Habs to learn a little bit tonight. I feel like they can get it going. I feel like this was the first game that they really got into more of a playoff type atmosphere. I hope they do learn from the physical intensity that St. Louis brought. I love Pierre's point about them being pushed around a little bit. I think it's time to enter that next phase.
You know why I said what I said, right, Adrian?
What'd you say?
That I would want you to say tonight. It'd be cool if you would say, there's something I want the Habs to do for me tonight. Win. You know why I said that, right?
Rocky.
That's right. Rocky 2. When Adrian's in the hospital.
Rocky.
On her bed, and Rocky's worried. She's fighting for her life. And she wakes up. She comes out of the coma. And she looks at him right before that fight with Apollo Creed, the rematch. There's something I want you to do for me tonight. Win.
Tony, right? Where are we going next? What city?
Philadelphia, Thursday night. Philly cheesesteak. Hopefully they stay off of those tomorrow, right? Thank you, Adrian. You're right. They're going to the fighting city of Philadelphia.
Thanks, Adrian. That was good.
Pierre, for someone who's lived it, can you put into words how tough this road trip is because of the 4 games in 5.5 days, and some of the things Marty should be aware of and some of the things that he should do?
Tough start to the trip. So that's number one. You got to put it behind and take the learning lessons from it. I think the physicality part's the thing that I learned the most, and know that you got to start the game on time, especially in Philadelphia, because John Tortorella is not going to be very happy with what happened in Toronto tonight, or they're probably their last 7 games. He's probably not happy with them. So you got to start the game on time. So that's one thing I'd be doing. But the other thing is you got to make it a positive workplace environment, because you got so many games in a short period of time, and it can spin away from you really quick. So you got to stabilize it quick. Tomorrow's got to be a positive learning day. It's got to be a positive day in Philadelphia. You can't get negative and browbeat guys. You got to get everybody singing from the same page. You really do, Tony.
Would you consider, because they're going to end up playing Matheson a lot, and because he's played a lot, he just had a bad game with a -4 tonight, and carry it too. If there's a chance of going 7D, would you consider it?
I would.
Yeah.
I would. You're talking about Gooley potentially coming in?
Well, I don't think he's going to come in, because it would be it's not a great road. Like, even if he comes in and he's ready, and I don't know if he is, like, what are you going to do? You're going to play him the next night too, even if you're not going to give him a lot, and then you're going to play him on Sunday too. Like, that's a little bit too much.
It's way too much. But that's why if you're playing him as a 7th D, and I've done that before with other teams, you just have to make sure the player understands this is what we're looking at. You're looking at 7 to 10 to 12 minutes. That's it. That's all. Don't be wanting more, because you're not getting more.
Are the
Montreal trying to get you back in there?
Are the Canadiens going to make the playoffs? Go all the way with Betway. Get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. Please play responsibly. Hey, folks, we've established a beautiful sick community here that you're here all the time. You're listening, you're watching, you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter. We've had a chance to meet a lot of you. Some of you we haven't had a chance to meet yet. But if you want to come out to Sammy's Valentine's Gala, tickets are being sold right now with proceeds going to Cure SMA, Cure Spinal Muscular Atrophy. Sammy's parents, Agnello and Rosa, have had this gala probably about 15 times over the last 20 years or so. It usually took place on Valentine's weekend, and Agnello and Rosa have helped raise over $2 million for spinal muscular atrophy. Tickets go for $225. I've gone probably because they took 2 or 3 years. They took about 3 or 4 years off during COVID. I had gone for about 5 or 6 years before that. And I'm obviously going to be going on Saturday, April 5th as well. And I can honestly say, not only is it a great cause, it's the funnest party of the year. There's so much singing and dancing and such a good time. Give or take probably, 400 people or 500 people or whatever it is. It's a blast. It takes place at Plaza Valari. And for tickets, call 514-219-2725. It's $225 a ticket. You get a partial receipt back that you can, of course, claim on your income tax if you like, which are whatever is going to be donated, because there are some costs involved in the event. And if you buy a table of 10, it's $2,000. So that's a really, really good price. All right. Okay. One more call. One more. We have Paul. Paul, are you there?
Gentlemen, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Tony, Pierre, it's a pleasure, honestly.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful Habs talk always. But just real quick on the game tonight, the puck was just bobbling on these guys. There was Montreal players in the vicinity. They just weren't able to corral a lot of pucks. They lost some puck battles along the boards. Like Pierre said, the neutral zone was extremely clogged. I felt like from the start of literally as soon as the puck was dropped, the puck's in the Montreal zone. All defensemen looked like they were under pressure, including Lane Hudson, sometimes indecisive. But that's what you get when you got big guys coming on you, right? Like you don't have time to think. And today it was just the way. I don't know how you stop the forecheck on that. You guys are smarter than that than I am. But and the other thing too is I'm sorry. I hate to pile on right now, but Patrick Laine today, laying on the boards and losing puck battles again. He's sometimes it's not like he looks disinterested to me. It's just I'm not sure if he's still hurt. And to be blunt, if Patrick Laine doesn't score goals, I'm not sure what else he does, what else he brings to this hockey team, moving forward. And I'd like to hear what you guys think about that.
Pierre, if you mind, I'd like to tackle this one first.
Go for it.
I'll say this. No one ever said he was the best defensive player in the league. He is who he is. We all know what he can do, and we all know what he cannot do. I understand your call tonight, but at the same time, you don't call after every time he scores, and he scores a lot. Granted, 80% of his goals are on the power play. I get that too. It is what it is. They acquired him. They ended up getting even a draft pick and only had to give up Jordan Harris because he comes with an $8.7 million price tag for this year and next year.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Montreal Canadien. He's talked about his mental health. He's talked about the fact that he battles with anxiety. He's talked about the fact that he has to speak with a professional 3 times a week to help him fight the nerves and help calm him down and get him ready for games. It's a constant struggle, and there's some nights where it's just not going to work, and there's some nights that he's not going to be into it. It is what it is. We can't say we didn't know.
Right.
But what's the alternative? To play Michael Pezzetta? Patrick Laine with one shot could turn around a hockey game. Pierre?
He already has turned around numerous hockey games for the Montreal Canadiens. But what Paul's talking about, I think body language is going to matter a lot going into the next 3 games. I think mental strength is going to matter a lot. That's why I said you got to divorce yourself from tonight. Tonight's over. Get on the plane, fly to Philadelphia, lose an hour in travel, get to your room, get some sleep, go to work tomorrow, make it an easier day physically, but mentally you got to get engaged and be ready to start the game on time against Philadelphia.
Do you practice tomorrow, Pierre? Do you practice tomorrow?
Only the extra guys, because you're losing an hour. It's too hard. A couple guys might go for a twirl, but nothing too organized. No.
By the way, Canadiens fans, we got some bad news. There is a goal that was scored in the game between the New York Rangers and the Los Angeles Kings, and it's the New York Rangers. It's JT Miller who scored his 18th goal of the season. The Rangers lead the Kings by a score of 1-0 with 14 minutes to go in period number 2. So still 34-plus minutes of hockey to be played, but obviously the Canadiens are hoping for the New York Rangers to lose. Before the show is up, Agnello and Sammy at Master Control, if you can bring up what the standings look right now for the Canadiens, and obviously keeping in mind that the Rangers game is not a final, but you let me know when you have it so we can bring up the standings for everyone to see. In the meantime, we'll take some questions for Pierre McGuire. Why don't we get 5 questions out of the way? Gregory Debo, can we see Laine get a shot at all with Suzuki?
Who would you like to take off, Slafkovsky or Caulfield?
You can never separate Suzuki and I won't say never, but
no,
you know,
I wouldn't be in a rush to break that lineup, even though they do so many good things.
Yeah,
I would like to see Laine play with a legitimate playmaking top end center. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah,
like, I'll give you an example, Tony.
Yeah,
if Robert Thomas was Patrick Laine's center, how do you think he would do?
He'd score 35 goals,
probably.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Oh, I don't think you're far off.
Yeah,
you're pretty right on.
Yeah, but you know, like once again, if Suzuki and Caulfield, they know where each other is on the ice at all times. At all times, like Suzuki deflects that puck today off a shot from Lane Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
Right before that, Caulfield finds him, and Suzuki almost scores like about 20 seconds before that. Pierre, you know this as well as I do. There have been some great lines in hockey, but there have been a lot of great duos. 66 and 68, Wayne and Yari, Brian Trotzy and Mike Bossy, Hull and Oates,
Yzerman and Shanahan. Like, you can go down. You're absolutely right.
You know, for the Canadiens, it's Suzuki and Caulfield right now. They're like bread and butter. Let's not talk about breaking them up because, you know, if they would have broken them up, would the Canadiens have won this game tonight? No. This
had nothing to do with the lines tonight. Nothing to do with the lines.
A couple more questions. Let's go to Double Chief. I think it's better if we don't make the playoffs this year. It keeps us in lottery contention and doesn't set unrealistic expectations for next year. No, I think it's better to make the playoffs so that everyone tastes that experience. But people have to be prepared that if they make the playoffs, there's 1 or 2 things that can happen. The adrenaline of playing playoff games for the last month and a half can propel them maybe for a round or 2, or maybe it'll take every single ounce of energy for them to get them there, and then they just run out of gas.
I think it's important for them to make the playoffs. I don't think they have to, but I think it's important for the growth of the team.
Totally agree with you, Pierre. One more question. Lewis says, Lewis sent over $10. Thank you. Savard comes out for Gouli. Pierre?
I think I brought Gouli up before. I would not be afraid to do that at all. I'm not there with them at practice. I don't know the conditioning levels of Caden Gouli, but would he make a difference? I like Tony's idea better than anything. I don't think you need to have against Philadelphia, and I've watched them a lot. I don't think you need to have 4 lines. I think you need to have 11 forwards. I'd rather have 7D and keep Goalie as a 7th, and maybe he gets a little more as you go along.
I wouldn't be surprised if Goalie doesn't play a game on the road trip.
No, you're right. But I'm just telling you, if you were asking me, and the doctors say he can go, I'd dress him as a 7.
I think, you know what, if they're behind the 8 ball, I think they can play him. But if they're still okay, there's one more I think we're going to take. Gregory Dupo sends over $5. Thank you, Gregory. I asked about Liney because he needs a proper assessment with a good center. No offense to Doc and Newhook.
No, that's fair. And that's why I said to Tony, how would he be with Robert Thomas?
Yeah, but
that's no. But I'm just saying, you need the organizational depth chart needs to be addressed at the second center position. It does.
Yeah. But St. Louis gives up Robert Thomas. They're
not trading him.
They asked for Nick Suzuki, right? And so you're and I don't even know if like it's just they're not trading him, unfortunately. So
no. But I'm just throwing out names. How would he do with a player? Let's just say like Vinny Trocheck.
Yeah,
he'd get points. He'd get 30 to 35 goals. I'm just throwing names out there so you see kind of where it's at. How would he do with Nico Hischier?
Vinny Trocheck picked up a lot of points this year playing with Panarin and Lafreniere. Line did pretty well.
Yeah, so just using them as examples. Names out there.
Yeah. Do pretty well with Nico Hischier, but them too. I understand you're giving on names, right? But New Jersey Devils, I would think
they're not trading those guys.
Want to go forward with Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier at center, right?
No.
Okay,
it's to the questioner's point.
I hear you.
We'd like to see him with a different center.
I hear you. Let's bring up the standings right now. The Ranger game is not over, folks. The bad news is the Canadiens lost tonight. The good news is that they're still in a playoff spot. All right. So they're holding on to the second wild card. The Islanders are a point behind the Canadiens. They've played the same amount of games. The Rangers are a point behind the Canadiens. They played a game more. It's going to be 2 games more at the end of this game. So if the Rangers lose this game, they'll stay a point behind the Canadiens and they'll have played 2 games more. If they get a point, they'll have the same amount of points as the Canadiens, but they'll have played 2 games more. And if they win, they'll have a point more than the Canadiens, but they'll have played 2 games more. Columbus is 2 points behind the Canadiens. They played the same amount of games. Detroit is 3 points behind the Canadiens. They played 1 game more. The Boston Bruins are 6 points behind the Canadiens. They played 2 games more. I think it's safe to say that Boston is out of it. But what a race, Pierre. What a race.
Yeah. It was a big loss for Detroit tonight. And, they were lucky last night in Utah. I know the score said 5-1.
Yeah.
They had 13 shots on net in that game last night. They had 2 own goals. Pucks going in off defenseman's skate in Utah. Like, they didn't dominate that game. They were lucky to get out of that game. They were really lucky.
Pierre, thanks so much for doing this tonight. And we'll talk to you again on Thursday night. Will you be there?
Oh, my gosh. Thursday, Friday, and maybe even Sunday.
Wow. Okay, so I'm working Friday, I guess. All right, okay. Why not? Hey, listen, because they're almost there. It's crunch time. Got to work these games. All right, so I'll be in on Thursday with Pierre. I'll be in on Friday with Pierre. And Sunday afternoon, 1:00 game. We'll see. We're usually not on Sundays, but, the season is winding down here. These are big ones. Thank you, Pierre. Have a good one, my
Tony.
friend.
Thank you. Talk to you Thursday.
Special thanks once again to all of our sponsors, to Energy Transportation Group, to Bittt at Tibi, to Playground, to Bomboloni Boss, to Betway. Give us a like. Leave us a 5-star review. It's our way of feeling the love. Special thanks to all of you for staying up. It's if you're watching live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, it's 10 minutes to midnight Eastern. Appreciate it. And once again, we'll be back again on Thursday night after the game. Thanks for watching. Ciao for now.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaBita.tb. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.